الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. له ملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. لا إله إلا الله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Televiewers or whatever, our internet audience, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having created us. We thank Him for having guided us onto the straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim. We thank Him for having given to us so many attributes and qualities and capabilities. We thank Him for all the protection which He has given unto us from the time of inception and even before that. We can never be able to thank Him enough for the favors He has done unto us. And so we beseech Him, seeing that we will not be able to enumerate these favors were we to try, we beseech Him that He accepts the little thanks we are able to give and rewards us for gratitude, even though it is still very small and insignificant. Today, inshallah, I'd like us to talk about reason. But before we go to that, let us first examine the avenues and the channels through which human beings acquire information necessary for the various decisions they have to make on a daily basis and major decisions of life as well. We have basically three main channels. You have the channel of revelation, you have the channel of conscience, which depends on something which has been created inside man, which enables him to be able to distinguish that which is evil and oppressive and negative to that which is good. And then you have the channel of reason. Now, the first one, revelation, is the highest of the channels because it can bring to human beings information which they could not by their own means and faculties acquire. It can give human beings information about things which are to happen trillions of light years from here and billions of years to come. It can give human beings information on things which happen in the depth of space, way beyond reach of human senses and capabilities. It can also enable humans to understand their own environment and the existence of certain beings or entities which they could not by any means come to grips with by their own means. So revelation is a very, very important aspect of the source of information. But it comes down to, even after receiving revelation, how do you authenticate this revelation? You will have to be able to make use of the other channels as well in order to authenticate revelation. You have so many messages and documents out there which all claim to be, in one form or another, revelation from the Almighty Creator of the universe. So we would have to apply the other criteria in order to be able to authenticate and see which of those are true and which of them are false. Now, without revelation, we could not understand the reason why all the civilizations in the past seem to have failed. We're talking about the Incas, the Aztecs in South America, or the Egyptian civilization. Even in present-day Tanzania, there was a civilization there about some 3,000 years ago, which was advanced enough to develop the use of steel, which is an alloy. I'm not talking about iron, I'm talking about steel. 3,000 years ago. Now what happened to them? What happened to the Babylonians? What happened to the Ad and the Samud? What happened to the people of Lot in Sodom and Gomorrah? Through revelation, we can get to understand why these civilizations came to an abrupt end, and learn the lesson, so that we can also perhaps, hopefully, save ourselves from such an end, or at least retard it as much as possible, seeing that we cannot, we are not a single person. There are certain consequences which fall on us because of the actions of certain individuals in society. Now, conscience, on the other hand, is something which is it's like an inbuilt program, but which can be influenced by upbringing, by education, and also it can be dulled by sin. For example, if someone is told that certain types of human beings are actually descendants or evolved from monkeys, while others are the children of Adam, then such a person is going to feel less guilty to kill the human being who descended from Adam, from the monkeys, compared to the one who descended from Adam. So you see how certain misconceptions, certain prejudices, and certain stereotypes can influence our reaction to certain matters. There's also sin. When you imagine a prostitute, for example, a young prostitute who just left the countryside and came to town for the first time, it's not easy to go and negotiate, as it were, the price of a night with a man. But after doing it perhaps for 2 years, 5 years, she begins to find some normality in it. That is just because the conscience has been dulled. And as a matter of fact, she might even be so deformed in her thinking that she might think she has done good when she has done bad. For example, one of her customers, a married man who apparently used to visit her as one of her customers, comes one day and says, I'm sorry, today when I took my salary, some thieves attacked me and took away everything. And the prostitute might say, oh, goodness, why do people do such things? Don't worry, today you can come for free. Now, if you ask her, she would say that she's done a good thing, because she's helped one of her customers who had been mocked by hooligans or by robbers. But in reality, she has just helped a married man to commit adultery, which is a bad thing. It's not a good one. So you see how conscience can be dulled by education and by all those factors. Now we come to reason. Jesus Christ alayhi salam described reason as a light with which we have to illuminate our path through the labyrinth of the world. The good use of a light, or a torchlight, is to use it to illuminate your path. So you point the light where you're going in order to be able to go safely and to see every pothole and every trap which can be on the way. But if you should take the light and point the torchlight into your eyes, then it's going to blind you from seeing. In a similar manner, if instead of using reason to work out and see our path through the world, we decided to consider reason as a god, then definitely it is going to harm us rather than do us good. I once asked my wife to count the number of times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has called upon us to use our reasoning faculties inside the Quran. She manually counted 87 times, I think. This is, of course, you have to give or take about 10% of that because you're doing it manually. Now, sorry, excuse me. Now, reason then demands that we make use of the reasoning faculties which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. But do we do that? Do we use our reason? For example, suppose we are asked to choose a taxi, a car for your brother to use to run a taxi business. And you went to the car salesperson, the car dealer, and found two types of cars. So one type of car which only differs in the type of fuel used. So you find two models of the same make of car. One of these models can use kerosene, which costs here in Cameroon about 350 francs CFA per liter. That's about 70 cents per liter. And the second model of the car uses cocoa butter as fuel, which costs here about 30,000 francs CFA, which is the equivalent of about $60. Now, which of the two cars will make a more successful tool for your brother's business? The one whose fuel is 30,000 or $60 per liter, or the one whose fuel is 70 cents or 350 francs? Clearly, it is the cheaper fuel which is better, because it will make your brother's business to be more profitable. Now, put yourself in the place of angels who are sent here in the world to come and choose people to work for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have someone whose fuel is caviar, roasted chicken, steak, and all those kinds of things, while another person's fuel is banana skins and herbs and things of that nature, which don't cost very much. Now, which of the two is more efficient? Is it the one whose fuel is expensive, or the one whose fuel is cheap? You see? But if you ask the person who spends a fortune eating caviar, he'll tell you that he is better than his brother who eats something much cheaper. See how we reason? Now, tell me, imagine a business person who is leaving to go somewhere and has two servants. He decides to give 50 billion of whatever currency to one servant to do a business, and when he returns, they will now share the profits. And he gives 50,000 of the same currency to the other servant. But they were both negligent with the business in his absence, and they all lost the capital. Now, who will have more problems? Who will have more to account for? Is it the person who had 50 billion or the one who had 50,000? Clearly, the one who is likely to go to jail first will be the one who took 50 billion. But then how then do we now consider here in the world that the person who has a bigger account is better than the one who has a smaller account? That is because we do not reason. We do not think properly. What we are given here in the world is only as a trustee. We are only to manage the funds. لِلَّهِ خَزَائِنُ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Unto Allah belongs everything which is in the heavens and the earth. Let us not boast over eating expensive fuel. Besides, the fuel does how much time does it spend in your mouth compared to the amount of time it spends in your alimentary canal? A few minutes in the mouth compared to the amount of time it will spend in the alimentary canal. Because the alimentary canal, the stomach, the small intestine, the duodenum, and so on, they don't have any capacity to taste. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to use our reason properly and to be able to walk in the world in a manner which will be pleasing to Him. Khairu kalam ma qala wa dalla. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.